I'm joined by Silvanus Osoro, Member of Parliament for South Mugirango, then Chuka Igambangombe, Member of Parliament, Patrick Munene, and Anthony Oloch from Mathare constituency. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to review the news. And I think we just want to start with the political story that is on the Daily Nation front page, and welcome guest Ruto in Raila turf. A few days after the current launch, the DP's allies hoped that the opposition leader would warm up to their State House quest, but when the Deputy President turned up in South Nyanza loaded with development goodies, the ODM brigade wasn't there to receive him. That story is given coverage on page 5 of the Daily Nation as well. And you'll see the Deputy President hosted by the Governor of Migori, that is Okoth Obado, as well as quite a crowd, if I dare say that. And a similar story is on the Standard, which we'll try to look for it. But first, let's listen into what the Deputy President had to say when he visited that region yesterday. Well, unfortunately, we don't have those voices yet, but we try to get them as the Deputy President was speaking in Migori. And I want to ask the question here, and I start with you, Silvanus Osoro, because you're near South Nyanza, then the rest in terms of representation. So what is this concerned? Why wouldn't members of Parliament attend an event of a Deputy President?
It's actually shocking. It's extremely shocking, to say the least. I think we are taking our politics too far, and it's now coming out clearly who is thinking politically at this period and time. The Deputy President and the President are one and the same thing. It's unfortunate that members of Parliament felt politically, you know, they could be regarded or taken as politically incorrect by associating themselves with the Deputy President. Owing to the, I mean, even with the fact, with full knowledge that the Deputy President was going there to commission roads, to launch street lighting, to, you know, to give money for the hospital, to offer, you know, some hospitals that are in very depleted situation. It's not right. And by the way, members of Parliament who really believe that there is need for us to, you know, join this bridging, or rather this thing we're talking about, the peace initiative and stuff like that, should start thinking broadly. They should know that the Deputy President and the President are one and the same thing. Right Honorable Raila Odinga was in the Deputy President's home for lunch the other day. He actually joined the President and the Deputy President, you know, after they've had a meal, I'm told, and he joined them later. So that was a clear indication that even the Right Honorable Raila Odinga has decided to work with the Deputy President and the President himself. So this thing of, you know, wanting to be treated very special, and I saw my minority leader, Honorable John Buddy, say that, you know, he ought to have invited us in a special way, like do a letter to us. I mean, what kind of joke is that? That is the Deputy President of the Republic. You've heard he's coming. At least that simple information that he's coming to your constituency or coming to your county should actually make you run and go there and receive him. He's a leader. You want to be a leader tomorrow. So it's bad, to say the least. It's actually not a good show for the members of Parliament from the South Nyanza area.
Anthony Oloch, is it a proper way to express your dissatisfaction with the leadership, whether it's the person of the Deputy President or the office that he occupies, by giving his visit a wide berth?
Well, let me start by saying that Ruto represents everything that is reprehensible to the people of Nyanza province. So if Silvanus Osoro,
why do you say that?
Holding brief for the rest of the Ruto brigade, expects that Nyanza people or leadership will be running and tripping over their legs to welcome the Deputy President, they will wait for a while. I think we are still smarting from a lot of things, including the just concluded elections. The Deputy President represents the face of all the things that the Nyanza people fought about, including their decision not to participate in the 26th October elections, and the many other things that the platform that ODM stands on, the ideology of the party, and the many positions of the party leader which are known on matters of good governance, questions of corruption. We have spoken day in, day out, and there's been no shortage of headlines. Just the other day you saw police billions associated with him. You see a headline every other day, matters to do with corruption, things that we speak daily about. So the moment you say that the deputy president will come and we will run there, and against the background of all those historical alienation and economic deprivation, that we will be following the deputy president coming to, quote unquote, launch a road that existed and people have been using for months. It will not happen. Having said that, on the question of the current thing, because I also was in Embu with Catholic members of parliamentarians on the invitation of my good friend Jagagwa, where Kindiki was there. And I think there seems to be a misconception that the current thing seems to have whitewashed all those things, and now there is a handshake. I can confirm to you that there is no such thing. There is no such thing as a handshake. There is no thawing of relationships between us, at least on the political front, with the Deputy President, William Ruto. I can only summarize it this way, that people are looking for headlines and looking for political cliches to say, you see, I had more comments saying the other day like Osoro, and Ruto was confirming it yesterday, which is extremely erroneous, that kama baba amesema, wewe ni nani kukuja katikati. The same William Ruto will tell you that the political light and touch of His Excellency, the Prime Minister, is gone, that this guy should retire and go. Yet he needs the word of the former Prime Minister for the people of Nyanza to have to so I can only say that all this is like a political gong, if you so wish, full of sound and fury, that visit to Karen, but it signifies nothing, really. I think the Deputy President will have to dig deep.
Why would you say it signifies nothing, yet the handshake of 9th of March between the President and the opposition leader, or the ODM party leader, you have championed for it and you believe it's the solution to this country? Why then, when the two join the Deputy President for lunch, you think it's insignificant?
I don't think the President, the Prime Minister, intended for it to have any significance other than my thinking and my little investigation that a detour at the request of the President, very informally, like let's just pass here. It had nothing to do with the politics of the day or an extension of anything. The handshake really has nothing to do, it doesn't extend there. And I think for the Deputy President, I think it was conveniently timed with the Nyanza visit to give him a soft landing so that he will have something to say when he gets there. But I think also you will see that this comes hot on the heels of Senator Gideon Moi's visit to Nyanza province, which I think must have sent some shivers down the spine of, because Gideon Moi was welcomed very well in Homa Bay, and he was told, you can walk here and look for votes as long as you want. And I think the Deputy President thought he needed a share of his visit to this place.
Gideon Moi was there as the Senator of Baringo, the Deputy President was there as the Deputy President. Mheshimiwa Munene, how do you read these? You come from the ruling party. How do you read these, such a region, especially the leadership, being apprehensive to the Deputy President?
You know, having listened to my colleagues, members of Parliament, it's very sad for this country, and it's very sad for us as members of Parliament, because we don't learn. I remember it just allowed 3-4 months ago, had members of Parliament from Jubilee or Mount Kenya Legion, when we saw the President and the Prime Minister on the stairs of Arambe, most of us lashed to TV stations and radio stations that we lavished it. And we said, you know, there's just a PR gimmick and nothing can work here. The same thing my brother Oruch feels that going for lunch at Kalen doesn't work. Because I'll be here with him down 2 months and he'll be telling me, you see, what happened in Kalen that day. So I want to say, as members of Parliament, it's their time that we learn that the Deputy President, the President and the former Prime Minister have moved a notch higher, and they have left us in this politics of mudslinging and divisions and tribalism. When my brother says that Ruto represents everything that is reproachable to the Luo Nyanza community, then it represents, then I get worried. Because what the Deputy President presented yesterday, I saw roads, I saw electricity, I saw health, I saw so many things. So if those things are not wanted in Luo Nyanza, because that's what he presented yesterday, then there's a problem. And I want to say this. even the country is speaking and we are not listening as politicians. I think we are deaf or something, because if you look at the crowd that waited for the deputy president yesterday,
yes.
If you look at how appeared they were, then it tells you as politicians we need to listen to the people. The people are speaking. As politicians, we have chosen not to speak. But it doesn't worry me, because finally we have come to what it is. Because finally we have come to Gideon Moi was there, William Ruto was there. So you can tell what it's all about. But I wish to say that the deputy president is the deputy president. The launch that he was launching yesterday, whether they started last month or last month but one, the president can even, the deputy president needs even to visit the finished project to see even how they were done, because they were done by government money. So the stage does not matter.
Okay.
And the projects are done by government, by money paid by the people of Luo Nyanza. It's their money.
Okay. I want us to listen into what they had to say while in Migori, if we have those up sounds.
Tulimaliza last year. Siasa ingine itakuja huko miaka 5 ijayo. Hapa katikati tuungane. Hakuna haja ya NASA na Jubilee saa hii. Saa hii haja ni wananchi.
But several past events.
Right, of course, there were several other up sounds, including that by Migori Governor Okoth Obado, as he welcomed the Deputy President there. I'm just wondering, where are we as a country? Because you see that the Deputy President is on the ground and the residents have come out to listen or to welcome him, whatever you want to read in that. As leaders, why are we not able then to move with the masses? Because he says that the people have moved on. I don't know whether that's true, because it's not. It has not scientifically
I think
been measured.
the people have moved on. If you look at Mount Kenya, when the Prime Minister visits Mount Kenya Legion these days, you can tell by the excitement of the crowd. But 1 year later, 1 year earlier, the Prime Minister would not have received such a reception in Mount Kenya Legion. So even as a person from Mount Kenya Legion, which we used to call Jubilee tough, and we don't want the Prime Minister, I realize that my people have moved on. They are forgiven. They are not in campaign mood. So I wish as politicians we also move as our people move. It's so sad when your subject move ahead of you.
So Anthony Lodge, what will it take that region, especially the counties of Migori, today he's in Homa Bay, Siaya, Kisumu, what will it take for them to accept that it's their right to be service delivery from the government, and agree to work with the leadership, whether it's behind closed doors or it's in the public?
I think you will need to allow me to take us into what the role of the Deputy President is and what the role of a legislator is. And I think that's where I part ways with him. When he says that if Nyanza people need roads, the suggestion then is that we must allow people to come here. The Deputy President, of course, is the Deputy President. I don't dispute that. The Deputy President is a principal assistant of the President. In my view, that means that the Deputy President must allow himself to do what his principal has delegated to him. The last time I checked, and the President has not publicly renounced this position, is that he publicly went out and said this idea of going out everywhere, he later called it kutangatanga, launching project left, right and center, must stop. And I think there were two reasons for it. That platform is being misused for 2022 politics. Secondly, that platform is being misused in order to start projects when the government is trying to see the projects that we did before, how can we conclude them? That's the first thing. The second thing is that Article 95 and 96 of the Constitution completely changed the paradigm and the way we operate in terms of the days Moi would come, and if he would stand by the road and say, now this barabara tutaitengeneza, those things left as a long time ago. A member of parliament, and it's good we educate and remind ourselves, we not only provide oversight to government and the other arms, we are also responsible for the budget making process and appropriation. So the place to be is not to go line up in Migori or some other place in order to be able to get the road. That road during the budget and appropriation, Osoro and my good friend here, you know, people were hustling at the third reading Committee of the Whole House, Committee of Supply. That is a place where you now need to go and lobby and say, I need this polytechnic, I need this road, I need this money taken here to be put here. The fact that we allow the Deputy President this kind of space and leverage is a complete abuse of the Constitution itself. It means that we budget, and then there is some money kept somewhere so that the Deputy President can walk around with to like carrot and stick. So what happens to the other people? Because the Deputy President won't go there, or because the Deputy President is not welcome there for ideological reason, does it mean then that he will not get development? The Constitution at Article 95 says no. You determine development as members of Parliament and where money goes. So I disagree with the fact that the Deputy President has to walk in Nyanza for us to be able to get development.
Finally, Osoro, is it necessary really for those members of Parliament to be there and accompany the DP? Today he's in Homa Bay.
It's not about necessity. It's just out of respect that the Deputy President is the second, actually the deputy position of in the executive to the President is the second highest office in this country. And it's out of principle that you need to receive the Deputy President and the President or any politician or any leader who is senior than you.
Right.
I go to the ward and I'm sure, I mean, when I visit my constituents, and I'm sure that is what also my colleagues face, or probably in commissioning projects under the National Government Constituency Development Fund, I see my members of the County Assembly receiving me because I'm senior than them, you know, or rather just showing their praises that, okay, we are leaders. And by the way, that is not even the topic, because I think it's not about even receiving. It's a message that people are sending, the leaders are sending from, you see, they are looking at it from the political point of view, not to the point of leadership or, you know, hierarchy and stuff. If it was the President, they could be there. They probably would have gone there by themselves. And in fact, you could even see all of them, you know, even from Western region receiving the President. But what we are saying here is this: the hypocritical character displayed by the Luo Nyanza members of Parliament is in another level. The holier than thou attitude that, you know, fine, we are so clean and there's another person who is dirty here. You know, I do not know what parameters they use. They term one as corrupt. They no matter in court. You know, they are depending on the newspaper, or rather the media, on stories that, in my view, are perceptions. We've been told of so many hotels that the Deputy President owns, which are not true. You do search, you realize he doesn't own. He's quoted of a newspaper, you know, yesterday's headline in regard to the police lines, you know, the rents and the billions that will be lost by the Deputy President. He's forgotten to say that the Deputy President owns that as a tenant, I mean as a landlord, and with a lease agreement with the police, just like other politicians, you know, even some from his region. And it's not really right for us to always think politically. But again, even as we talk about building bridges, we need to be very true to ourselves. It is very wrong, and I find, Right Honourable, with a lot of respect, very dishonest. Right Honourable Raila Odinga, I mean, he's telling us that we are here to build this country, and we want to say, you know, we want to bring every person together. He shook hands with the President. I mean, really, if you shook hands with the President and you are together with the President and working together with the President, why then can't you tell your followers that, you know, now we are together as one? Because the President cannot work alone. He must have a Deputy President. I mean, it's constitutional. The very constitution that my learned senior is quoting. The Deputy President works with the President. You know, there are no definite roles of the Deputy President. He's clearly, like, you know, like he puts it, mtu wa mkono of the President. So we need to be very clear that and understand each other that the very constitution that we are saying that we need to like stand firm on is the very constitution that gives the Deputy President power to move around on behalf of the President. And the President does not come out, you know, defying or rather saying.
Osoro, of course, he doesn't think that moving around is necessary.
Before we close on this debate, I think as members of Parliament at times we are so hypocritical. Because if we say that the Deputy President going to visit the project, it's not important, it should not happen. I want to tell you something. Any member of Parliament who is here today, including my brother Oroch, the classroom that is going on in his constituency, he goes to check how it's going on as a member of Parliament for that region. So I don't see any problem, but he has said the problem. The problem is a platform. He has said that this thing is giving the Deputy President a platform. So the problem is not seeing the project. The problem is something getting a platform. But what I wish to see, let this handshake thing be across the board, because I've seen the president and I've heard him say very clearly, and even tell us as members of parliament from Jubilee, and he has even said it in public, that I want my side of my divide to respect this handshake. Exactly. And the president repeat that. I've not heard that from the former prime minister up to now, telling his people to respect this handshake so that we can move on. So,
but Mheshimiwa Munene, you will know that that can be said, but still people have their freedom of association of expression. I want us to listen to the voices that we heard from Migori, and then you can respond to that. Just let's listen to what the DP had to say.
Kuna wengine wanasema ati nisikuje Migori. Mimi nataka niwaulize, nyinyi mnajua deputy president wa Kenya ni nani? Si ni mimi? Na mnajua mnalipa mshahara. Na hiyo kazi mnalipa mshahara lazima nifanye. Na lazima nifanye mpaka hapa Migori. Sasa watu wawaje kucheza na kazi yangu bwana. Hiyo mambo ya siasa tulimaliza last year. Siasa ingine itakuja huko miaka 5 ijayo. Hapa katikati tuungane. Hakuna haja ya NASA na Jubilee saa hii. Saa hii haja ni wananchi.
If possible, kuja na urudi tena na tena. Si itakuwa sawa namna hiyo? Yes.
So it is only the governor who was there, and he is telling him rudi tena na tena. So how does he speak for? I want to start with
let me just finish my point, then my brother Ruto can finish it, can start his point. What I was saying is this. You know, there's something we call the presidency. I think after we changed the constitution, we forgot that now what we have is a presidency. The deputy president and the president, we call it the presidency. And I want to go back to the Tanga statement there the people have been using. Because I was in that gathering where the Tanga thing came from. It was in a Bali, where we are bailing a relative, the father to the speaker. I don't know what the president said. So many, every leader stood up and said, we want a road here, we want a hospital here, we want a university here in Mbele. And when the president stood to speak, he said, now that you are my brother Ruto here, who have said he can be going around this country tangaling, when he comes aloud, tell him those things. So the president was even giving him a go ahead of checking on development in this country. Right. So we have tried to turn it negative, but the president put it so positively that this guy is young. That's what he said. He said he is young, he has energy, he ana tanga kwa inchi. When he comes aloud, tell him those things. That's what he said.
So Mheshimiwa Oloch, who is the governor speaking for in this instance?
Well, I think the governor, and I have a lot of respect for him, my sympathies for him with ongoing cases. Nobody would wish that to anyone, and nobody would wish the family of Sharon the kind of thing they went through. Having said that, I think the governor's dalliance, or what the media calls bromance, with the deputy president is not a matter that is not in public domain. It's been in the public domain for a while. You remember that he ran for ODM in 2013, and when he lost, he went to PDP, and it is said that the power behind him was actually the DP, the financier behind the PDP, and the many instances when the deputy president has visited Nyanza, he visited the Kuria side of Nyanza and parts of Migori. In the recent by-election that happened in Migori, and I'm not casting any aspersion, it was clearly vocalized by the governor of Migori that they were dissatisfied with the process that ODM used, and they chose to support somebody called Eddie Okech. It is said, and the deputy president hasn't come out to deny this, that the financier behind Eddie, and I know Eddie, is a guy I met just before the nomination himself. I don't think he had the capacity of hiring 2 helicopters for a whole month, landing everywhere where Raila left to come and distribute and dish out money. It is clear that the deputy, the governor of Migori is welcoming the deputy president to come tena na tena as part of a long relationship that they have had with let me finish, Bwana Osoro. As part of, I know you're itching to defend your boss, but this relationship has been characterized and now perhaps almost metamorphosizing or morphing into the 2022 platform, and it is being said that the area where the deputy president wants to make entry through, if he does make any entry, would be through the governor of Migori. And with all due respect, I'm saying this from my understanding of the situations on the ground. Right. So when he's saying that you are welcome 10 and a 10, I don't think he's speaking for the people of Migori, certainly not the leaders because they were not there. I think he's speaking for himself and his exit route for 2022.
Well, I actually want to close.
I think I need to have a right of reply 30
on
30
him.
Seconds. 30 seconds.
Yes.
We all know where the headquarters of negative branding politically is situated. It's
and where
actually,
are they?
Exactly. They are in Nyanza. And
you are part of which
they're actually South
did you
Nyanza.
ship to Rift Valley since your association with Ruto?
Not really. It's actually from the South Nyanza. Because the truth of the matter here is any person that is perceived not to sing the tune of Right Honorable Raila Odinga is branded a name. And you have no right to have money because it will be perceived that your source of income is from Ruto. You have no right to think independently other than thinking on the line of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. That is the truth. That is that is the truth from the South Nyanza.
That you have no
the truth position from the South Nyanza. But on about the money part, that is a lie. Ruto does not give people money.
My brother,
you see, this point should actually be home very well. When Migori governor says Karibu 10 and a 10, and then my colleague here, Honorable Lodge, tells us, Honorable Lodge tells us,
very well. We used to have tea with you. You no longer have tea with me after you started doing those choppers.
Let me open my two brothers from Nyanza. I think it's bad. I think my in-law, I think on this statement
is a governor.
Osoro by this statement, I think it's very long.
You said the two brothers. I don't know who
Some it's very long. It's very long when you say an elected leader. You know, my brother has put it very clear that Obando went against the wave of NASA and Laila and everybody had won a seat, a governor seat. Then when you see the same guy who went against this wave is talking for himself. You know, when I talk today, I talk for my people, the people elected me. When he talks today, he talks up for his people. So how do you say an elected governor in front of all his people?
And by the way, he garnered more votes than all the members of parliament combined in Migori.
How can that guy be talking for himself?
In Migori County. I mean,
well, we should have seen some of those leaders. Remember, some of those votes he got were collectively contributed to. He was an ODM candidate, by the way, in this election.
Yeah, I know
it's in the last one that he was PDP. So the votes that he got are collectively from Uriri, Awendo, wherever.
And the Okech point, I needed to come out clear that His Excellency the Deputy President funded Okech. I have actually asked the Deputy President on the very day, actually the very week that discussion was very hot about Okech. In fact, the Deputy President confessed that he does not know that gentleman.
And you think he would tell you if he did?
We know the sources of that gentleman, Okech, and Oluoch knows that. He should actually be very honest about that. Because Okech got that money from the US when he fundraised for Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
6 months before that, he ran an election and he did not have that money. He ran an election for Senate 6 months before. He did not have that kind of money.
I don't think we want to go there. Eddie Okech is not here and is not the topic of discussion.